legend himself, Gavin McInnes!
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. All right, so how did we get here? We got here because Ann Coulter's speech was canceled. Berkeley said you can't have this speech. The Young Americans for Freedom acquiesced and said, all right, we're not doing it. And I think there was a little bit of animosity towards Ann, where they said, you pussied out. What are you, a chick? What are you, a 50-year-old woman, or however old she is?
57.
57? And I thought, if I write 10 bestsellers out of the 12 books I've written, I want to be picked up in a limousine, taken to a podium that's made of teak, do my talk, and then be whisked away on a first-class flight. That's what happens when you write that many books. But anyway, Ann was banned because she's a Nazi, because she's a racist, because she hates Mexicans, because she's a sexist. That's the world we're in right now, where Milo, a gay immigrant, is banned for being homophobic and against gays. So we're in a funny situation where the fascists are the anti-fascists, and they're shutting down women and gays and minorities and preventing them from having their say. And the beauty of the First Amendment and the beauty of America is it allows for these mistakes. It allows for these checks and balances. And what happens is you have a debate. If someone has a crazy view, you discuss it, you have a Q&A, it gets ironed out. Where should these Q&As happen? Where should this discourse happen? How about a university?
Yes!
That seems a logical place for ideas to get hashed out. I remember in 2005, Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, said, he posed the question, he said, is it possible that women don't have a natural predilection for STEM, math and science and chemistry? Is that maybe why they don't sign up? And people in the audience started having seizures. And he was immediately fired for posing that question at a school he was the president of. And Steven Pinker was asked, they said, do you think what he said was reasonable? Was it within the pale of legitimate discourse if presented with a modicum of rigor? That was the quote. And Steven Pinker said, wait a minute, isn't everything reasonable on a college campus if presented with a modicum of rigor? That's what separates universities from madrasas. And I think we're at the point now where universities are becoming madrasas. We've got Linda Sarsour doing a talk at CUNY. No problem with that. This is a woman who supports Sharia law. This is a law where women have half the vote of men. A husband can rape his wife. A man can beat his wife within Sharia law. She supports that. She gets a talk. We have Ahmadinejad doing a talk in Colombia. This is a guy who denies the Holocaust. He says that there's no gays in Iran, which may be true because he kills them all. He gets a talk. But Ann Coulter may not speak at this school despite the fact that everyone opposed to her has not read one sentence in any of her books. And that's a fun game with Ann, by the way. When people criticize her, you go, which sentence in which book do you have an issue with? And they never read it. And I guarantee, if you read In Trump We Trust, and you took the Carlos Slim chapter out, and you dressed it up with anarchist logos, it would become this punk rock anthem for the youth. Because she is one of the most inspiring pro-Western, pro-freedom writers in America today. She doesn't like the government. She doesn't like the New York Times. She doesn't like the billionaires. She is an American hero. But she can't speak today because she speaks in public the way she speaks in bars. And I think a lot of these liberals will willfully pretend they don't get the joke, and they'll go, oh, she said our blacks are better than their blacks. She must think we have black slaves. No. You know that means that black conservatives are smarter than black liberals because they have to put up with a bunch of bullshit at Thanksgiving. So when I heard it was canceled, I said, I have to go down to Berkeley. This is what America does. America doesn't take no for an answer. America is like an entrepreneur or a grunt in the military or a woman giving birth. Sometimes something that you're doing sucks and you go, I'm out, I can't do this anymore. It has to happen. The baby's coming out. We're doing this operation. When an entrepreneur gets told, oh, the trucks didn't arrive in time, we can't do it, he rents a U-Haul and he makes it happen. So I jumped on a plane, I came down here, and Ann sent me her speech. It's a little more incendiary than I wanted it to be. I think if you're doing a speech at Berkeley, you should maybe take out rat feces analogies, but that's not up to me. So, Ann was betrayed, she was censored, they put all the legal onus upon her, so if someone gets hurt tonight, it would have been on her head. Now it's on my head, and I'm happily take this on my head. I don't happily fight, by the way. This is the other thing. I notice the media says, oh, this is Nazis versus anarchists. No. This is Trump supporters who like the president, which clearly at least half the country does. It's a lot of people. Versus lunatic neo-Marxists who want to shut them down. We will continue to promote free speech, to speak freely, no matter who is against us, because that's what America is about. The amendments are in order of importance, and although we love the Second Amendment, it's no First Amendment. The First Amendment tells you about the Second Amendment. Anyway, we're told we have to shut down soon, so I'll get down to Ann's remarkably controversial speech. But here it is. Are you ready?
Yeah!
Woo! Now she speaks with this weird Connecticut accent where she clenches her teeth as she talks. It's an affectation I won't mimic. We're told, as if it's good news, that immigrants use welfare only at 15% above native-born rate. It's like saying only 15% of the food has rat feces in it. We don't want any rat feces. The fact that any immigrants are on welfare proves we're not taking the right immigrants. By the way, I had a restaurant. Can I get some water? I had a restaurant for a while, and there was this Chinese woman with a bamboo pole who would come and she'd rifle through our recycling and she'd get 2 big giant bags of cans and then put them on her bamboo pole. And I couldn't help but think, how'd you get here? I came in 1999, I brought about a dozen jobs. I spent about $10,000 through visas getting a green card. And look at this Chinese lady who doesn't speak English with a bamboo pole and 30 pounds of cans, and I think, how'd you get here? And someone said, no, she's sponsored by her relatives. And I go, well, what are the relatives? Like, if your son brought your mom here and she's going through the garbage with giant bamboo poles of cans, you fucked up. Isn't that the deal? Don't you have to take care of her? Anyway, that's my tangent. The fact that any immigrants are on welfare proves we're not taking the right immigrants. These aren't native-born citizens we're talking about. We can't take anyone we want. Sorry, we can take anyone we want. No immigrants should be on welfare. Aren't immigrants who need government assistance, by definition, immigrants we don't want? We can't pay for our own poor people. And now we're going to be the welfare ward of the world? With whose money? The reason Americans are sensitive to race is because of the history of slavery and Jim Crow. 2 other great Democrat ideas. What did we do to immigrants? A lot of this too is point form, where she would go off at tangents, but she may not, because this is not her. When Trump merely proposed we stop importing people whose religion teaches them to kill us, the media called him a racist. Republicans said, that's not who we are. They know us so well. There are 7 billion people in the world. We don't have to take any of them. There's no constitutional right for the rest of the world to move here.
That's right. Yeah.
Since the 9/11 attack, we've admitted 2 million Muslims. We take more immigrants from Muslim countries than from Great Britain. We're accepting Muslims into this country faster than we did before 9/11. But apparently we're not allowed to have an opinion on whether that's a good idea, because Khizr Khan's son died in Iraq. Khan was the snarling Muslim who took the stage at the Democratic National Convention to denounce Trump, a candidate for president, for having a position on an important issue of public policy, namely whether we should keep admitting people whose religion teaches them that we are infidels. Khan's son was one of only 14 Muslims who died fighting for America in Iraq or Afghanistan, which is also the number of U.S. soldiers who have been killed by U.S. soldiers who were Muslim. I assume she's talking about Fort Hood. But according to Khan, Trump isn't allowed to venture an opinion on an important government policy because Trump's son wasn't killed in Iraq. But if that's true, why not allow only military families to vote in presidential elections? Or any elections? Hey, where'd all the Democrats go? I don't think that's what they have in mind. If we have to honor Khan by letting in more Muslims, like the ones who killed his son in Iraq, what else do we have to do to honor this gold star dad? How about throwing gays off buildings? Do we have to honor Khan's son by putting women in burqas? Do we have to honor Khan by killing Jews? Instead of telling Trump to read the Constitution, Khan should have been waving a book of Sharia law and telling Americans to read it, since that's what we'll be living under if we keep up this mass importation of Sharia-supporting Muslims. Immigrants are showing up with a lot of needs and a lot of grievances. Why do we owe them? If you have grievances, go home and address the perpetrators. We owe you nothing. By my reckoning, they owe us. That was the speech that Ann was going to say at Berkeley. I don't see anything factually incorrect with it. And as an immigrant myself, I gotta say, I'm kind of shocked to get here and see the number of ingrates, both within my fellow immigrant community and within the American citizen community. You see the way they talk to war vets, they talk to cops, they talk to people, talk to entrepreneurs, they talk to the housewife who can't say no to giving birth. And I think, how about some reverence? If you moved to Japan, you would take your shoes off when you walk in. You wouldn't say, I demand the Japanese speak English. So how about American citizens, American immigrants, and American millennials be a little more thankful of this incredible country that thousands of years of evolution has brought us? You know, when they say God bless America, atheists laugh like God is up there randomly choosing a country. But I think God has blessed America. It's the country closest to natural man, natural humankind. It's the freest country in the world. And if you're the freest country in the world, you respect humanity more than any other country in the world. And how do we know about all this? Through free speech, through talking to each other, through having open discussions, through debate, through Q&As. The only way that corruption can foster is if we let the First Amendment go to the wayside and we let these assholes, these politicians and these pundits continue their lies. We're on the side of truth.
Yeah. Yes.
Lies run sprints, the truth runs marathons, and we're in it for the long haul here, guys. So we are going to make these speeches happen no matter what anyone else does, because America was based on freedom, and that is why it is the greatest country in the world. We can't be stopped, guys. Let's do this again.
Everybody, let's hear it for Gavin McInnes.